From Del Rio, Texas, Rob Wade and Robert Garza. Two guys who dive. This episode of Two Guys Who Dive, recorded Sunday, 17 June 2012. Episode 20. Happy Father's Day. Well, welcome again to another episode of Two Guys Who Dive. And as I switch to the full shot, you'll notice that I'm going solo today. And that's because it is Father's Day, and our regular co-host, Robert Garza, otherwise known as Scuba Bob, is enjoying some me time, some family time right now, and so the slug just couldn't be bothered to join me. No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, he is definitely well-deserved getting the celebration of Father's Day. Also, you may remember on a couple of episodes we've had a guest host, Troy McGonagill, who I had asked to join us on the podcast, but he also is unavailable, celebrating Father's Day with his family. And as a matter of fact, he received word this morning that he was awarded the Father of the Year for 2012 at our church, Grace Community Church in Del Rio, Texas. So very well deserved. He's done a lot, accomplishes a lot with a pretty good sized family, and so would like to shout out to Troy. So congratulations on getting Father of the Year. And let me bring up a shot here. So here we go. Happy Father's Day to Robert Garza and Troy McGonagill. This is a shot from one of our previous podcasts, so we're definitely we're very pleased that he received this award, and also very pleased to say Happy Father's Day, not only to Scuba Bob and to Troy, but all you well-deserving fathers out there. It's tougher and tougher in this day and age to be a dad. You know, anybody can be a father, but not everybody can be a dad. So it's important to recognize those who do a good job of raising kids out there in a society that doesn't really cherish that too much. So, well deserved. Those of you might wonder why I'm not celebrating Father's Day, which I sort of am, but I'll give you a little bit more details on that. But my wife and I, Tara, don't have children. That's by choice. And but we do have some kids that look a little bit different than most. Those are our kids. We have fur kids. We're big fans of dachshunds. As you can see from left to right there, we have a red smooth coat. That's our youngest, Grayza, a little girl. And then right next to her is our old man, Zeus. He's a wire-haired dachshund, though. He needs a haircut badly. He's 19 years old, so he's way long in the tooth. But he's still getting around well. He has his health issues, but I tell you, I've not seen too many dogs at 19 get around and get as spastic as he does. Then right next to Zeus, you see we have another wire-haired, again needing a haircut. That's another female, Chiana. She's a doll. You can't really tell from this picture, but she actually has one ear that's only half an ear. Quick background story on that is we were looking for wire-haired dachshunds, and we found a site online in our area, actually in the San Antonio area, that raised dachshunds, and she had this little thing as just a wee puppy advertised online, and you could see that she had a part of an ear missing, and we just absolutely melted seeing her. So we went to go pick her up, and it was pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting to when we showed up. The breeder came out with Gianna, and she said, "Okay, well here's the dog you picked out, but I'll understand if we've got a couple more in the litter. I'll understand if you want to pick one of the other dogs." And we just told her that nobody is going to love this dog the way we're going to love this dog. So we were more than happy to bring Gianna home, and she's just a little sweetheart and a little spaz too. And last but not least, you see zonked out on the end there, our black and tanned male, who is the next to the youngest. That's Ronan. You may notice there, you sci-fi fans might notice a little bit of a theme going there. We tend to name our dogs after science fiction characters. Zeus is the exception to that, although he's more Greek mythology, whatever. But Greza and Gianna both get their names from Farscape, what I believe to be one of the better science fiction series that was put out there for a while. Just didn't get the recognition it deserved. And then Ronan, of course, gets his name from Stargate Atlantis, from one of the characters there. So we're that's our family right there. So it is Father's Day, and I hope everybody is enjoying some barbecue or having family take you out, treat you well, those kinds of things. My wife and I actually got to spend this weekend going up to Balmorhea. If you have been watching the podcast regularly, you'll remember that we have a trip scheduled about every month, and the one for June, of course, was this past weekend, and we weren't able to get anybody else to go up with us. More's the pity, but we had a great time. It's about a 4-hour drive from Del Rio, Texas, to Balmorhea, but it's just some of the more beautiful area of Texas. Some very rough country, a lot of canyons and buttes, or not buttes, but hills and things like that. It's just, and then you get to Balmorhea, which is basically at the foot of the Davis Mountains, which takes you through canyon areas to Fort Davis, sleepy little town up there that has a nice little observatory, some restaurants, things like that. Just a nice area, beautiful. It's at about 3,000 feet elevation, and the neat thing is, though it gets really, really hot during the day, at night it gets pretty chilly. I really wasn't, even at this point, I wasn't prepared for quite how chilly, because normally we stay up there at one of the cabins, and so of course it's air conditioning, heated, whatever you need, and you don't have to really worry about the weather other than when you get outside. But this time we were camping. This is our first trip with taking our mobile dive center, our trailer, up on that trip. So we kind of curious to see how our roadie was going to do towing that thing all the way up there with pretty much full set of gear and everything in it, as well as our camping supplies. And it did well. We didn't really have too many issues. We did have a number of lessons learned that I'll probably articulate in the next episode, and certainly post on our Facebook page, because some of them are humorous, some of them are just good lessons learned. I am a process guy. I look at things from the perspective of, how's the process work? All too many times what you see is broken processes, of which we saw many this weekend. Some of them were mine, I'm ashamed to say. A lot of them were other processes of other people, other businesses, etc. So I'll have some lessons learned to share probably next episode about that. But beautiful weather up there, a couple of little late afternoon showers. Since this is at the foot of the Davis Mountains, you will see a lot of heating and convection, etc., that happens in the late afternoon. And of course, since the Davis Mountains are right there, as these as the clouds build up and build some tops, they push up over the mountains, and of course, then they will drop some rain on you. Nothing really serious. Got kind of windy a couple of points, but which created some more lessons learned, which was interesting. But still, beautiful weather. We got up every morning 7-ish to get things, get breakfast done, get the trailer and everything pulled over to the pool area. For those who are not familiar with Balmorhea, and if you haven't seen some of the videos from before, Balmorhea is a spring-fed pool, if you will. There's a lot of irrigation that comes from that is fed by the springs, various that have actually various exit points. But at San Solomon Springs, which is the actual name of the spring, San Solomon Springs has some of the more major springs that come up, and what they've done is literally built a pool like you would see in any municipal area in a city. You'll see it's all concrete walkways, and then there's grassy areas. It's all fenced in. They have diving boards, etc., and little sitting shelters and things like that, picnic tables, etc. But once you get, and it's L-shaped or it's U-shaped, on one side, one leg of the U, it's shallow concrete bottom. It's basically like a pool. And so the little kids can hang out there. It's a safe area for them. And it's got a little marker buoyed string that tells you, okay, from this point on, you're getting into the open water part. Now, the rest of it, the L shape of the U, is actually is all natural bottom. So there's rock and underwater flora that's there. I'm going to go ahead and bring up some of our underwater shots to kind of narrate as we go along, to give you an idea of what it looks like in the diving area. So, all right, so let me bring the volume down just a little bit. That's better. So here is some video footage of just the typical natural bottom that's there. Here's a shot of one of the spring areas that you literally see the water bubbling up through the sand and dirt on the bottom. And of course the fish are just hanging around looking for stuff that's stirred up that they could eat. These are by far the most plentiful of the type of fish there. And those are typically anywhere from, literally minnow size up to maybe 2 inches long. You might find one or two that push close to 3, but they're all very small fish that if I were really interested, I would probably look up what the actual name of those fish are. And there's my lovely wife, Tara, waving at the camera. And as I pan the camera around in my sophisticated 360, there's a shot of me sporting my Aqualung Legend regulator. Now, I got a friend of mine gave me an underwater scooter, so I was able to bring it out and give it a try out here. And I cannot tell you how much fun those things are. But your hand gets a little tired because it's a dual trigger system, which I think most of the scooters are. And the blade on this, the fan on it, is deceptive. The video gives a deceptive perception of what the blade's like. It's actually spinning pretty fast, but because of the frame rate of the camera that I'm using, which is an Intova IC10, which does obviously 10 megapixel, and it also does VGA video. I've got the frame rate is 29 frames per second, so at the speed that the fan moves, it looks like it's actually moving slower. Okay, now here's Tara. giving a shot. This is our first time using it. I actually used it in our creek. We have San Felipe Creek in Del Rio, Texas, and it's shallow. It's shallower than this, and it's got a lot more flora underwater. But it's a pretty fast-moving stream, so it's kind of fun to use it there. But definitely is more fun out where you don't have a current to mess with you. You just let it take you around. And basically, you can help it along with your fins, and you kind of will steer with your fins and how you turn the rig. That's the most common. It's the only catfish that's there. I guess they call it a midget cat or something like that, or dwarf cat. And those are all over the place. And here comes Tara back towards the camera. Now, the visibility is typically much better than this. Oh, this is still very good, especially if you're like us and you typically dive around Lake Amistad. But as you'll see in a little bit, here's me doing just a little fancy movement with it. You can, it works every direction, so you can do little twirls and little acrobatics, little spins and loops and stuff like that. It goes about 3 knots. But there was a lot of training going on, a lot of classes going on, large classes. There was about a little over 30 divers in the water. And there's again my lovely wife Tara. She's kind of dealing with. She has a hard time with the do-rags. She can't seem to get them tight enough to stay on. And her mask happens to be such that it rides so high, the skirt on it rides so high on her forehead that it's tough to get the do-rag to stay where it needs to be without really tightening it up. As you can see, she loves to sport the pink. I think the more things I can find for her that are pink, as far as her scuba gear, she's going to love it. I did notice in the latest scuba diving magazine that I forget which company has now got a new line of regulators that come in different colors, and pink is one of them, so I may have to pick that up for her too, although she really is pleased with the one she's using. Now, if you notice, that little tapping is these fish. They're hitting the camera. For some reason, they were seeing the reflection or something that was getting their attention, and they just were grouping around the camera. And then we're cruising along, and what was so interesting is, for some reason, Tara and I were like the Pied Pipers here. They just started cruising along with us. I mean, and you'll see some shots here in a second of as I realized, you know what, I need to try and get an image of this or something. So, and this also gives you an idea what the natural bottom looks like. There's no one of those catfish. Typically the bottom, you'll see another type of little cleaning fish that hangs around, scavenger fish, little tiny things about an inch, that usually hang around these minnows or whatever you call them. But you also see a lot of crawdads. They hang out in the underwater flora there, and they'll have their pinchers stretched out. As you can see, they're all just cruising along. So I spun the camera around to get a shot of me, and they're just right there. I mean, they swam with us for a good long while. Now, to say that these fish are used to swimmers and divers would be an understatement, but as used to divers as they are, it's rare that you see this kind of activity where they're just hanging with you. I mean, they hung with us almost the full one length of the U, one leg of the U. See, they're just cruising along with us. And again, the visibility normally is a lot better than this, but by this time, students have already been in the water, and anybody has gone through the training, anybody who's watched divers going through training. One of the last skills they really get down, they don't even really typically get this down during the training, but it's buoyancy control. And so buoyancy control is important to keep you off the bottom. And of course, during the training, you're just trying to learn the 20 skill sets, and you're going to hit the bottom, and you're just trying to right yourself. There's this seemingly innate drive that makes people want to be on their feet or on their knees, typically on their feet, when they rest on the bottom, and so they're kicking and trying to get themselves vertical because they're used to walking this way. It takes a while before you get used to the whole three-dimensional. In the chat room, just got a question. I'm using, the question was, I know you said it a few minutes ago, but what type of camera are you using? I'm using an Intova, I-N-T-O-V-A, Intova. IC10. They're actually up to, I think, a 14 right now, which actually does high def, I think in 720p video, whereas the camera that you see on the screen now is it's just doing regular VGA. I would love to do HD. I saw somebody walking up today with a really nice camera, and I get to jonesing when I see people with really nice cameras. I didn't think I was going to get into videography very much, or underwater photography, but I've seen so many people do some great stuff with the various cameras that are out there. You can start out cheap. I mean, this was like a $150 camera with the housing, but it's just really worth it to work your way up to the nicer cameras. Now this may look strange to you because it's upside down, and that's because I was upside down. I love to dive inverted. My gear is suitable for diving inverted. Not all of your regulators work well upside down. You'll find that they kind of let water in a little bit, so you want to check. If you think you're going to need to dive inverted for some reason, check out to make sure that it does work on all orientations. But one of the things for me that helps me practice my buoyancy control is to dive inverted, and I will literally cruise forward because you can bend your knees and just use your flippers at the ankle. I can go inverted and float mere inches off the bottom, and just cruise along, and that's literally what I'm doing here because it's so easy to do and the visibility is so good. I'm literally cruising along the bottom mere inches without touching, and it's just a good practice for me to make sure I've got my skills down. Now, some people, this would be very disorienting when you're trying to swim along, especially if you're trying to swim along versus just hanging there upside down. I actually saw one of the students, I think it's on the video here later, but there I am, cruising. What a great perspective. See me just moving along forward. And that takes a little bit of concentration because I'm moving forward and working the camera and keeping my buoyancy under control the whole time. But it can be a little disconcerting, disorienting to do something like this because the way water wants to enter your ears when you're upside down, equalization can be a challenge for some people. If you have difficulty equalizing, if you're one of those that has to descend slowly to handle your equalization rate, this is probably not a good idea for you because you'd have difficulty equalizing. But I'm a very fast equalizer. My Eustachian tubes are very used to when I'm when I'm not if I'm not dealing with any kind of sinus issues or whatever. They're very used to me descending quickly, so I can equalize all the way down. So I can pretty much swim as fast as I can, straight down, head first, and equalize all the way. So I don't recommend this. I don't recommend this for beginning divers, but as you've got some skill built up and your ears are used to it, if you find that you are able to descend inverted, which is head first, then this can be something that you might want to work at practicing. It tends to kind of amaze a few people that are, especially the students here who are, you see a lot of these students here who are, they're just trying to learn how to do something like hover without, going up and down 3 or 4 feet, and there is a guy with a pink tank. That's something you don't see very often. As you can see, I cruised for quite a while inverted. Okay, now here's some shots of the training. And again, the Intova line is kind of an entry-level line of cameras, but the nice thing is, for a relatively low cost, I think that the IC10, or maybe called the Sport 12 now, the Sport 12, I think is what it is. I think it's like $200, $250, but that's with the housing, which is great. And then you can add any number of the strobes that are to it. I bought a strobe to go with it, although I'm still trying to get used to how that works. I definitely recommend the ones that have the cable that connect it to the camera, as opposed to ones who that are designed to kind of pick up the flash coming from your housing. As you can see in the video here, a lot of silt, a lot of the flora being kicked up. And again, that's just part of the training. Any of my students know that they've been through this. The first time you hit bottom, the feet are flailing, and you just have to get to a point where you're comfortable being able to land on your knees, or better yet, stop short of actually hitting the bottom. Now, for myself as an instructor, I find it very interesting to observe other instructors. I have no idea if the classes that were being held, there were, I think, 4 different classes going on. I have no idea if the classes that were going on were being held by PADI instructors, or NAUI, or SSI, or any number of the other certifying agencies out there. But it's still, we basically teach the same skill sets, and so I find it interesting to kind of watch their technique, how they deal with certain things. If there were PADI, I kind of observed to see if they were following the standards that we're all supposed to follow. I love catching just all the bubbles that go up. I just think it's a great view. Okay, this was a cool shot. This is the last shot in there. If you look, this is a soft-shell turtle that I saw basking. There's 3 or 4 of them that are there at Balmorhea, and so I saw this one basking. I just happened to turn over to my left and saw it sitting there on the rocks. So I hightailed after it. These things can move. I'm swimming furiously, which is why the camera is not very steady. And because these things can turn the shoot off in a dime, I'm using a camera technique of leading the image, because he could shoot off at any direction, any point. So I'm trying to get closer and closer. I mean, I am swimming like a madman to catch this thing. And I get a little bit closer just before he heads over to some of the foliage. This is one of the smaller ones. There's a couple that are really large, about twice the size of this one. And I have a on my camera that or on my smartphone, I keep an image. There he goes, burying in. He's like, "I will escape you." And that's it. So yeah, I have a good image that a friend of ours who is a very good videographer took, or a good photographer, underwater photographer, took of me chasing after one of the large turtles. And I mean, it's a great shot. That thing is headed right for her, and I'm in hot pursuit right behind it. And it's a great shot because the visibility was great. We didn't have a lot of students there, and so there wasn't a lot silt kicked up, so it's just blue. And it's a good shot. And she had a filter on there to kind of pull the. Typically in fresh water, you'll have things shifted more towards the green, and in salt water, you'll have things shifted towards the blue. And of course, you lose your various color strata as you go deeper. And so she was running a filter that helped out the image, so it really looked good. But it's one of my favorite pictures. It's a treat to catch the turtles that are out there. Usually they're buried, like you saw this one escaping. They're typically buried in the foliage until they have a chance to kind of climb out on the rocks and look for opportunities to feed, that kind of thing. But that was a good shot. I was really glad to get after that. So we generally had a lot of fun in Balmorhea. The layout is pretty interesting in that you get into the park proper, and then off to the left you have kind of a horseshoe of cabins, and they come in two types. They have 2-bedroom cabins with no kitchen, and they have a single bedroom with a kitchen. So those run, I think, like $80 a night, something like that, 75. And those are always in demand. If you can make your reservations early with Balmorhea State Park, and that's spelled Balmorhea, like Chris Rea, Balmorhea, Balmorhea. And how you get there, it's if you know where Fort Stockton is in Texas, it's right on Highway I-10. And you follow that west for 46 miles, and you'll see the Balmorhea Toya Vale, Toya, Toyavale, Toya Vale exit. And then it's another 4 or 5 miles, something like that, as an off-road there. And it takes you kind of a back way to Fort Davis as well. But anyway, you pull into the park proper. On the left, you have the horseshoe of the cabins that you really need to reserve well in advance. We tried to reserve for the whole year. We tried to do a trip to Balmorhea every month, and we tried to reserve for the full season. But by the time we actually got reservations, we didn't get anything in a cabin until August, which is fortunate because that's our anniversary. And we'll be up there for that weekend. Woohoo! Nice. But then if you go a little bit further in, again to the left, you've got all the camping sites, and they also come in a number of different setups. You have the just a plain campsite, has nothing but a little gazebo picnic area that's covered. And so you can put your tent up or park your pop-up trailer, whatever. Then they have actual trailer areas. So if you've got an RV or a fifth wheel type situation where you need electrical and the water hookups, they've got those there. And then they've got campsites that have electrical and water there, but they're not for trailers. They're not for the big monster rigs. If you've got a pop-up trailer that needs electricity, like in our case, using our dive trailer, I've got electrical installed in it, so I can either use the generator that I have in it, or I can literally plug it right into shore power, like what they have there. And then I don't have actually water installed, but it's nice to have the water available there, so for cleaning and that kind of thing. Uh, so that's what that's what we got reserved for all the other months. Is the campsites with electrical and water. So that's your camping area, and they have a lot of overflow parking areas. So if you have multiple vehicles, it seemed like this weekend was the weekend for church camps and children's groups and Boy Scouts. Lots of Boy Scout troops. I'm not sure why this was a Father's Day weekend for that kind of stuff, but a lot of those troops out there. So you saw these little BSA trailers, covered trailers, etc., pulling in. Gotta say, got pretty noisy. Tough to relax in the evening with all the kids going nuts. But they were having a good time, learning some stuff, hopefully, and that was great. And then if you coming in the main park area, off to the right is the parking area for the actual pool section. So you can park along there, and since there were 4 training groups going on, everybody, for the first 4 slots, you had dive trailers pulled, backed up there. It was remarkable. Since I have a trailer, I kind of look at other people's configuration to see how it's set up, and that was kind of one of them I was impressed with. It had it was huge. It was the largest one. I can't even guess how large this trailer was, but it had some serious gear in there. I think they were outfitted to probably teach 2 classes simultaneously, or certainly had enough variety of gear to outfit anybody of any size that you can imagine in there, with and multiples. And then they also had a slave trailer that was just their compressor. Then there was somebody else that had a trailer that was not really well decked out. I think they had a cascade system, which is basically large air cylinders that they pre-fill up via a compressor, so that these things are monster cylinders, and you can fill regular tanks off of those. Now, obviously, once you get down to a certain level, certain pressure, you'd have to use you'd have to use a compressor to fill those back up. So they'd only give you a limited amount of a usage before you'd have to refill those. And then there was another pretty good sized trailer that had both cascade system and compressor, and fairly decent decking out of the gear. I did a lot of research online when I set up my trailer, because it's a 6x10, which seems like it's a pretty good size, but when you're trying to carry the kind of stuff that I'm carrying, compressor, etc., you have to use very efficient use of the space, which, being a process guy, Lean Six Sigma, I took a lot of forethought in how I designed that. Having said that, after looking at some other people's rigs and just some real-world practical application for my trailer, I did come away again with some lessons learned, so I'll be applying those, making some mods for future trips, because we'll probably bring this for every trip up there, especially as we bring a lot of people up there to Balmorhea. But and then anyway, so if you go straight on back again to the parking area, then there's kind of some open little picnic spots where they have covers. They have covering for the picnic tables, etc. So people would come in with their picnic baskets, and they do have grills there, but people were bringing their own gas grills and that kind of thing. Now, it was amazing. I've been to Balmorhea so many times, and I have never seen it this packed. At one point on Saturday, there were cars lining up to get into the park on both directions of the highway for at least the equivalent of 2 blocks. I mean, it's a county road, so it's mostly agricultural area there, or barren ranch land. But I was amazed at all the people that were just sitting there waiting to get in, and I ended up talking to one of the senior rangers there, and he said that this weekend was actually light compared to what they were used to being able to handle, but due to cutbacks, they didn't have enough people to handle all the traffic that was coming in, so they had to literally limit it. So they got to a point where they said, "Okay, we're gonna cut this off. One car comes in for every car that leaves." So they just got to that point, which was pretty interesting. The guy who had been working there for 23 years was looking for retirement about 4. He said if they just had more people, they could police the kind of traffic. And still, it was amazing. I mean, there were cars parked everywhere. People were setting up the little portable gazebo tents and grills and everything. They were setting those up everywhere there was grass. And then when they ran out of grass, they set up everywhere that there was dirt. It was just amazing. I was like, I looked at people set up. I'm like, you're allowed to be there? But so I was very glad to have a tent or a camping spot lined up. It's one of those things that the pool area opens up at 8 o'clock in the morning. So you have to if you want a nice spot decked out, staked out inside the pool area, because it's fenced and they keep it gated. They have a little concession stand, which normally hasn't been open, but now somebody's running it, and they have great ice cream. I am now a fan of the Bluebell Grizzly chocolate bar. That rules. But and then bathrooms there and showers and everything, and then you go into the actual park area, which has a main walkway that takes you to the main pool, but then you can peel off to the left or the right, and then there's all grassy areas. And as you get closer to the water's edge, that's where all the trees are, and so underneath the trees are typically where all their picnic tables are. So you have to get there early in the morning. I mean, it's literally already starting to fill up by 9 o'clock. So if you haven't gotten in there and staked out one of the picnic tables, you better bring your own. Bring a fold-up table of some sort. I was glad this year we brought one of those gazebo tent things, which was really great. That helped protect us. The couple of late afternoon showers that came in. It was nice to have that to protect our gear and ourselves from getting wet where we didn't want to be wet. But generally we just had a great time. It was wonderful. It was a nice, relaxing weekend. Got a lot of diving in. I almost crossed my 300th log dive. I don't log all my dives. I typically don't log a lot of my dives with students, but I hit 299, and unfortunately Tara's ear was getting a little tired today, so we cut one dive short and headed back home, which was nice. We were glad to get back to see our little fur kids, which was nice. Of course, right now this shows you how dedicated I am to doing this podcast. I am missing the 2-hour season premiere of Falling Skies. I love that show. I didn't, because I know how networks are, and they always kill the good shows. I didn't think it was going to come back, but they really, at least, were able to make the case for a second season. So the 2-hour premiere started at the same time we started the podcast. So thank goodness for DVR. Love it. So I'll be catching that later on. But, something that was kind of interesting at Balmorhea, and you can probably see this in a lot of places that have both a lot of regular swimmers and scuba divers. Here's a note for you folks who are swimming where there are a lot of divers around. It's not a good idea to drop trout and pee in the water. I'm just saying. We're cruising along, and I looked up. I look everywhere. So I look up, and this kid is just kind of floated out away from the edge of the water. And suddenly, at first, I thought I was imagining it because I had to do a double take. It looked like, I was like, what is he doing? He's pulled down the front of his swim trunks. And I looked again. I'm like, oh, no. It's like watching a train wreck. You just can't look away because you can't believe what you're seeing. And the guy he was a 20-something, and he's peeing right there in the water. And then I was like, how do you not realize you've got 30-plus scuba divers around you and not think that at least one of them probably is watching this? If you want to be a laughing stock, not a good idea. There are bathrooms there. Just get up out of the water and go take care of business. It's just sad that people just do stuff like that. Having said that, I just, there are uncouth people everywhere. And we saw our share of those this weekend, interestingly enough. Rednecks abound. And so they like to pull in at 12 o'clock at night with their big trucks and their fog lights on. And while they're trying to figure out how to get parked, they're shining their lights right into your tents and things like that. Come on, people. Rude. And then the other ones coming in playing their country music really loud at 1 o'clock in the morning because they got there late. When you pull in, be respectful of other people that are there. There are some that are already there asleep because they're doing training the next day and they need to be rested so they can train well. You don't need to have your truck doors open playing some country western song or Tejano song, whatever, 1 o'clock in the morning while you get your tent situated. Just be respectful. It's not a difficult thing. So at this point, it's time for me to do this week's commercial. I am a big fan of Submersible Systems Spare Air. Now, the beauty of Submersible Systems Spare Air is it is a fully self-contained redundant air system. Has its own cylinder and a hoseless regulator. Now, because it's a very compact design, it is not meant to be like a pony system. There are people that would argue that if it's not a pony system, it's no good. Thing is, if it's redundant air, completely self-contained, it gives you just that bit more of an edge of safety. So I am particularly a big fan of the Spare Air. Now, as you can see, the typical kit comes with the actual cylinder. You see the yellow cylinder there with the screw-on regulator. Now, this is not a high-performance regulator, but it will feed you air at depth and help you bail to the surface. You also see that it comes with its own filling system, so you can literally connect this up to your regular full-size tank and fill the spare air from your primary tank. So it's always available to you. And also, of course, it also comes with its holster there, which can be strapped or mounted anywhere. That's the other convenience of it. These come in two models. The 170, which is a 1.7 cubic foot cylinder, very small. And then they have also the 300 and the 300 nitrox. Those are both 3.0 cubic foot cylinders. The difference being, of course, one, the regulator is rated for nitrox. So if you dive with enriched air, if you're certified to dive with enriched air, you can use you can hook up the 300 nitrox and use that one. The beauty of this system is, that it's fully self-contained. You don't have to worry about hoses hanging around. You can fully disassemble it. It comes with its own clear plastic travel case, so you can disassemble this and travel with it. My wife and I use these on our dive trips, and so we'll pack those in our gear. We never have any issues going through baggage with this when they scan the system. Normally, you can't do air travel with air cylinders of any type, certainly unless they're fully opened. But the beauty of the system is so portable, so easy to carry with you and travel with. And then easy to refill and easy to empty again when you are traveling back. I use this typically with most of my dives, certainly with students just in case. I practice with this. As with any skill that you have, it's a good idea to practice with your gear. Any of your emergency gear. If you're diving with a whistle, if you're diving with mirror, if you're diving with one of those hose-powered power inflator type air horns, or a pony bottle, or as a spare air. It's important to practice with those. So I use this on a regular basis. I have had people at various skill levels insist to me that these are simply an accident waiting for it to happen. Simple fact is, unless you practice with something, it's not going to be any good to you. And if you haven't got good situation management skills, if you don't practice those up, I don't care what kind of safety features that you have, they're going to be no use to you. I regularly take my spare air out and practice with it. So I'll get down to 90 feet, and I can get to the surface with the spare air. Now, obviously, it's not designed to be a maintaining system like a fully redundant second tank with its own regulator that you could just continue diving on. This is meant as a bailout system. And as such, if you practice with it, it works very well as that. I've never had any issues with it. So if you're looking for an inexpensive safety net, a bailout bottle, the 3 cubic foot, the 300 Model 300 will typically run you about $299, depending on where you get it online. Well worth the investment. It's just a nice bit of safety net to have with you. So I recommend the Submersible Systems spare air, and I would suggest going with the 300, not the 170. The 300 will work well for you and give you enough air to get to the surface from at depth. So it's a good idea. Real quick, we're just about the end of the hour. We've got still a couple more planned Balmorhea State Park trips coming up. Of course, we just finished the one this weekend, but we have one scheduled for the 13th, 14th of July, as well as the 17th through 18th of August. And just got a message on my Lumia 900 smartphone, Windows phone, of course, from my co-host, who shouldn't even be bothering me because he should be having fun with his family. Otherwise, he should be right here co-hosting the show. He says, "Nice red shirt." Of course, I'm sporting my one of my favorite dive areas. And also, scuba class is coming up. You're just about too late to join in the 28th June through 1st of July class. But you still have plenty of time to get in on the 26th through 29th July, as well as the 23rd through 26th of August class. These are both basic classes, of course. And if you are a basic diver looking to get your advanced certification or rescue, those can be worked out. Just work out the schedule. I'm a very busy guy. I like to do recreational diving as well as teaching classes. So if I can work out a schedule with you, I'll be more than happy to afford you the opportunity for advanced classes. If you'd like, you can always check out the website, www.delriodiveclub.com. Check the forums as well. And then also encourage you to visit our Facebook page, Facebook.com/Del Rio Dive Club. So definitely encourage you to join us on one of the Balmorhea trips. It is well worth the drive there. It's a nice, relaxing weekend, and the more the merrier. We've had some large groups go up. As my co-host, Scuba Bob, can tell you, when we go up there with a large group, it's a lot of fun. Share a lot of food, a lot of diving, just relaxing, just kind of sharing war stories, which is great fun. Just a couple other things left here. you've heard us talk about on previous couple of episodes of Two Guys Who Dive, that the state of Texas has been, actually the federal government has been pushing very hard to get rid of all the old abandoned oil rigs out in the Gulf Coast. There is a rule, there is a regulation that says that after an oil rig is no longer useful, that oil companies have 5 years, I believe it is, to disassemble and remove those. Well, they have not been enforcing this for a number of decades now. So the problem is most of these abandoned oil rigs that are out there, that number in the hundreds, they have become a live ecosystem there. Coral has grown there. Life has attached itself to these rigs. So they make wonderful habitats. They're a great artificial reef system. They draw they draw fishermen, they draw spear fishermen, they draw divers from all over to visit these and just make great diving opportunities. Well, unfortunately, the Bleeding Hearts have won the day, it appears, and are pushing to go after these rigs, and they've already removed a number of them. Now, problem is, they have to blow these things up to get rid of them. So you're killing the life that's on these things, and you're removing a potential. You're removing a dive opportunity for folks, which of course obviously impacts the local economy, because there are people that run fishing charters and diving charters out there, and so you're killing a lot of their financial their opportunity for revenue. So if you want more on this and would like to speak your mind on it, kind of get the government to realize, this is not such a good idea. If you want to, the idea is, I have no problem with the rule if the federal government would say, let's start now, and we will enforce this rule, but grandfather all those other ones. They've already got well-established life on them, so leave them alone. If you want to start a new rule, I mean, this is a common thing that they grandfather businesses or people into a process that they're starting to enact. So if you want more on this, go to www.charterfisherman.org and check out the links that talk about this, so you can add your voice to those. So if you're interested at all in diving in the Texas Gulf Coast, we have some sunken ships, but we also, a great rich resource for divers is, of course, our abandoned oil rigs. So if you'd like to add your voice to those, saying, hey, what the hey, by all means, visit that website. That's www.charterfisherman.org. and check it out. So we're at the end of this week's episode. It was kind of interesting going solo, but I certainly had plenty to share with you and talk about. Hopefully we'll have our regular team back next weekend. Looking forward to it. You can always visit us at our website, delriodiveclub.com, or as I said before, you can go to Facebook/Del Rio Dive Club. And also, by all means, if you're watching the show live and want to participate, as we've had somebody do this week, jump into ustreamtv.com or ustream.tv/channel/2-guys-who-dive. Jump in the chat room there. Be happy to interact with you. Or you can also hit the Facebook chat. I normally have that going as well. So if somebody posts something, we can definitely field your questions. We'd like to answer questions or just have your comments. If you don't get to see the whole show or don't get to see the episode live, I know a lot of folks that are divers who have odd schedules and they can't normally catch us on our regular time, Saturday nights at 8 o'clock. You can watch us, catch us on YouTube. Just do a search for Two Guys Who Dive, and you can catch up on all the episodes you missed. And be happy to have your comments on those as well. So if you have any ideas also for future shows or would like to guest, we'd love to have you in the studio. We have plenty of room. to add somebody to the group. And also, the software I'm using for this is also enables Skype, so we can also Skype you in too. So, by all means, we'd love to have you participate. So that's all I have for this week, and love to see you next week on another episode of Two Guys Who Die.